Hi, this is Michael Ward, partner of Elliott's Accounting, talking about GST charity concessions that potentially are available to university student guilds. GST, or the Goods and Services Tax, is a federal tax, and it's governed by federal legislation known as the New Tax System Goods and Services Tax Act 1999, or the GST Act. It may well be possible for a university student guild or union to be entitled to goods and services tax charity concessions if it can be deemed to be a charitable institution. If a student guild or union can be seen to have as its sole or dominant purpose a charitable purpose, such as the advancement of education, there is a case to argue that it may be eligible for GST concessions as a charity. The student guild or union must be a non-profit organisation with no ability to distribute profit to members, and no surplus assets can be distributed to members on winding up the organisation. Its constitution must include appropriate non-profit and dissolution clauses. The objects clause in the constitution and the organisation's activities will determine if it satisfies a charitable purpose. As from 1 July 2005, a charitable institution must obtain formal endorsement from the Australian Taxation Office, or ATO, under section 176-1 of the GST Act. Some of the GST charity concessions available are as follows: gifts and input tax credit adjustments. Adjustments for GST credits are not required where an item acquired is gifted to the charity. Accounting can be on a cash basis, that is, the charity may choose to account on a cash basis regardless of its annual turnover. Supplies for nominal consideration, such as non-commercial supplies of goods and services, including accommodation, made by the charity can be deemed to be GST-free. Donated second-hand goods, that is, sales by the charity of donated second-hand goods, are generally GST-free. And with respect to raffles and bingo, supplies of raffles and bingo by the charity are GST-free where the supply does not contravene a state or territory law. A GST-registered charity has the option of treating any of its separately identifiable branches as separate entities for GST purposes, provided that the annual turnover of the non-profit sub-entity is less than $100,000. It is not required to register for GST. An unregistered non-profit sub-entity does not remit GST on sales and does not claim GST credits for purchases. A GST-registered charity is entitled to GST credits for reimbursements made to volunteers for expenses the volunteer incurs that are directly related to his or her activities as the volunteer of the charity. So it is quite possible with the right structure and objects that a university student guild could be determined to be a charitable institution and therefore eligible for GST charity concessions. We have successfully acted for major university guilds in Queensland and have been able to successfully obtain GST charity concessions for them, resulting in GST savings. Your guild or union may be eligible for GST charity concessions. If you are interested in finding out whether you may be eligible for GST charity concessions, please contact Michael Ward of Elliott's Accounting on 07 38 333 999 to discuss obtaining an initial assessment report of eligibility for GST concessions. If you are currently eligible for GST charity concessions as a charitable institution, you still need to regularly review your continuing eligibility as the law has changed and your objects and activities may also have changed. For a review of your continued entitlement to GST charity concessions as a charitable institution, please contact Michael Ward of Elliott's Accounting on 07 38 333 999 to discuss receiving a review report.